Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is lecture number 12 in the writing course, and it's about the types of sentences. You remember in the previous lectures, in lectures 10 and 11, we studied two types of sentences: the simple sentence and the compound sentence. Now we have another type of sentences, which is the complex sentence. So today we will be talking about the complex sentence. This is the main component in today's lecture. What is a complex sentence? Before we know what a complex sentence, we need to know what a clause is. So what is a clause? You remember what we mean by a simple sentence. Now, a clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. So it's the same as a simple sentence. So a clause is a simple sentence, in other words. Okay. Now look at this example. There are two kinds of clauses in English. Independent clauses. Example, it rained. It rained is an independent clause. And an independent clause is also a simple sentence. It's the same, different names. And we also have dependent clauses. What is a dependent clause? Okay, because it rained. Because it rained is a dependent clause. So we have two types of clauses. Number one is the independent clause. It's a complete sentence. It's like a simple sentence, and the sentence is complete. The subject and the verb, we have a subject and the verb, and the idea or the thought is complete. So you see, it rained, full stop. This is a complete sentence. Here we will call it an independent clause, because we are talking about complex sentences. The second type of clauses is the dependent clauses. A dependent clause is like a child or a baby. It needs someone else to take care of it, to support it. We also call it a fragment. A fragment is a piece of something. A piece of something. It needs something else. Because it rained is not a sentence. And it's not independent. It's a child. It's like a child. It's a dependent clause. We have to say something else. Because it rained, I stayed at home. Because it rained, I stayed at home. Because it rained, I didn't go out. Okay. Now, again, what is a clause? A clause is a simple sentence. I want you to know that a clause or an independent clause is another name for a simple sentence. And we know what a simple sentence is from lectures 10 and 11. Examples, it rained. Another example, I wasn't hungry. I wasn't hungry, simple sentence. Ahmad played football with his friends. All of these three examples are simple sentences. Today, in our lecture, we will call them independent clauses, because we are talking about complex sentences. And you will see why. You can see that all of them are simple sentences. Another example, Layla watched a movie on TV. Again, the independent clauses. They can stand alone. They don't need help. They are not like babies or children. They can stand alone. Now the other type is the dependent clause. And what is a dependent clause? A dependent clause is an independent clause, but there is a word or a subordinating conjunction. Remember, subordinating, not coordinating. Coordinating in compound sentences. Subordinating in complex sentences. Subordinating like what? Because, after, when, etc. We will study all of this in this lecture. Because it rained, dependent clause. Child. I wasn't hungry because Ahmed played football with his friends after. All these examples are not complete sentences. They are dependent clauses. We need to finish them, to complete them. So they are dependent clauses that need to be supported. They need help. Another example. Before Layla watched a movie on TV. Dependent clause. Very good. Now, a dependent clause is not a sentence. Why? Because it does not give or express a complete meaning or a complete thought or idea. So it's not a sentence. It's not a sentence. It's a fragment. It's only a piece of a sentence, a fragment. And we must join this or these fragments to independent clauses to make complex sentences. So we need dependent clause, independent clause, and then we have what? A complex sentence. Look at the example. We didn't go to the park. Why? Because it rained. Where is the dependent clause? Because it rained. The independent clause, we didn't go to the park. We didn't go to the park, not the park. So, two clauses, one dependent, one independent, and the sentence is what? A complex sentence. I wasn't hungry. Why? Because I had a big breakfast. I had a big breakfast. Ahmed played football with his friends. When? After he did his homework. Before Layla watched a movie in TV, what did she do? She helped her mother in the kitchen. Again, look, we have some green clauses and other clauses in red. The clauses in red are dependent clauses. What do you mean by dependent? Dependent clause? A dependent clause is like a child. It needs help. The independent clause is a complete sentence. A complete sentence. Now put them together and we have what? A complex sentence. So all these sentences are complex sentences. I hope this is clear. So again, what is a complex sentence? As you can see in this diagram here, illustration, complex sentence, we have two clauses. Because we wanted to have fun, what's this? Dependent clause. Why is it dependent? Why is it a child? Because we have the word because. Can you see the word because? It's a subordinating conjunction. Subordinating, not coordinating. Now, we went to the beach yesterday. Because we wanted to have fun, comma, we went to the beach yesterday. Dependent clause, comma, independent clause. Okay. more about the complex sentence. Look at these examples. We have more examples here. We didn't go to the park because it rained. Where is the dependent clause? Which one is the dependent? Dependent, child. Because it rained is the dependent. We didn't go to the park, independent. The whole sentence is a complex sentence. I wasn't hungry because I had a big breakfast. Where is the dependent clause? Which one? Because I had a big breakfast is dependent. Ahmed played football with his friends after he did his homework. Very good. Layla helped her mother in the kitchen before she watched a movie on TV. Now look at these four sentences again. Can you see that the dependent or the independent clause, comes at the beginning of the sentence. We didn't go to the park. Do we have a comma? We don't have a comma. I wasn't hungry. No comma. Ahmed played football. No comma again. Now, notice that we can change the order. The same four sentences. Because it rained, comma, we didn't go to the park. What do you notice? We have a comma after the dependent clause. When we start with a dependent clause, we use a comma in between. Because I had a big breakfast. Look at these sentences, the same meaning. We have four sentences written in two different ways, and they give the same meaning. When we start with the dependent clause, we use a comma, as you can see in the last four examples. Now, again, we use a comma if the dependent clause comes first. Remember this, okay? Now, what are the subordinating conjunctions? We said that we have because, or after, or before. Let's see other subordinating conjunctions. After is a subordinating conjunction. I will go to bed when? After I finish my homework. This is a complex sentence. All of these sentences now are complex. Before, I will finish my homework when? Before I go to bed. As soon as, it's like after, it means after. I will go to bed as soon as, after, immediately after, right after I finish my homework. Since, I have been doing my homework since I came from school. منذ, since I came from school. Until, I can't go to bed until I finish my homework. So we have after, before, as soon as, since, until, and when. I will go to bed when I finish my homework. When. All these sentences are complex sentences. And you can see also, in a complex sentence, we have two clauses. Remember this. Dependent clause and independent clause. In all of these examples, we started with the independent clause. So we don't have a comma. We don't have a comma here. While you have, or you need to know the meaning of these subordinating conjunctions. You need to know the meaning of them. I had a sandwich while I was doing my homework. Okay, more, although he finished his homework, comma, he couldn't go to bed. Of course, this sentence, you can change the order. You can say, he couldn't go to bed although he finished his homework. No comma. He couldn't go to bed although he finished his homework, without a comma. If you finish your homework, you can go to bed. You can go to bed if you finish your homework. Is this correct? Yes, of course. You can change the order in any complex sentence. You can change the order of clauses in any complex sentence. Unless means if not. Unless means if not. You cannot go to bed unless you finish your homework. Unless, إلا إذا. You cannot go to bed unless you finish your homework. Or, unless you finish your homework, comma, you cannot go to bed. So, again, these are subordinating conjunctions. Because you can go to bed because you finished your homework. Because you finished your homework, comma, you can go to bed. Again, I want you to notice that all these sentences are complex sentences, and the complex sentence consists of two clauses. In one of the clauses we have a subordinating conjunction, like although, if, unless, because, after, when, until. Okay. Now, the difference between coordination and subordination, or the similarity between them. Coordination, in lecture 10 and 11, what do we mean by coordination? By coordination we mean compound sentences. By subordination we mean complex sentences. So, compound sentences and complex sentences. Look at these examples. Number 1. Francisco gets a shopping cart. Then, after that, Mrs. Garcia reads the shopping list. You remember this sentence is from your book. We have two actions. Number 1, Francisco gets a shopping cart. After that, his mother, Mrs. Garcia, reads the shopping list. Now here we have two simple sentences. Now, let's give the same meaning in another way. We want to use these sentences to give the same meaning in a different way, as a compound sentence and as a complex sentence. Look at this example. Francisco gets a shopping cart, comma, and then Mrs. Garcia reads the shopping list. Now, this is a compound sentence. But Francisco gets a shopping cart before Mrs. Garcia reads the shopping list. Now, this is a complex sentence. This is what? A complex sentence, because we have an independent clause. Francisco gets a shopping cart, and we have a dependent clause before Mrs. Garcia reads the shopping list. So, sentences 1 and 2 and 3 have the same meaning. They have the same meaning. Another example. It started to rain. Ahmed put on his raincoat. Actions. Number 1, it started to rain. Rain started to fall. What did Ahmad do? He put on his raincoat, his jacket or raincoat. Rain, put on jacket. Two actions. One happened before the other. It started to rain, so Ahmad put on his raincoat. Before it started to rain, Ahmad put on his raincoat. This is incorrect. I have to correct it later. It's after. Or because, because it started to rain, Ahmad put on his raincoat. This is a correct sentence. Now, these three have the same meaning. Now, the first one, what's the first one? We have two simple sentences. The second one is a compound sentence, and the third one is a complex sentence. So, two simple sentences, one compound sentence, one complex sentence, and the meaning is the same. The meaning is the same. All of them give the same meaning. Let's talk more about subordinating conjunctions using examples or questions. Now look at this question. Which is the best way to write again the following sentence? Cut the tomato and the onion. Simple sentence. Full stop. After that, put them in the bowl. In the bowl. So we have two simple sentences. One action, two actions. Do number one, then do number two. Now we want to write again the two sentences, but we have to keep the same meaning. Is it A? Cut the tomato and onion before you put them in the bowl. Cut the tomato and onion after you put them in the bowl. Cut the tomato and the onion in the bowl before you cut them. Or put the tomato. Yes. Which one of these options or sentences give the same meaning? You cut the tomatoes first. Cut the tomato and the onion first. This is number one. Number two, put them in the bowl. So the meaning is in A. The same meaning is in sentence A. Okay. Another question. Which is the best way to rewrite the following sentence? They don't buy junk food because they like healthy food. They don't buy junk food. You know, junk food like hamburgers. Hamburger is a junk food. Okay? Why don't they buy junk food? Because they like healthy food. Now this is a complex sentence. We want to rewrite it, but you have to keep the same meaning. Look at A. They don't buy junk food, so they like healthy food. Think about it. They don't buy junk food, but doesn't mean because. B is incorrect. It is clear that B is not the right answer, because and but don't have or give the same meaning. They like healthy food, so they don't buy junk food. Now think about this sentence also. They like healthy food, but they don't like or buy junk food. Now B and D are incorrect because we have but in the sentences, in these two sentences. Now, because and so give the same meaning, but you have to change the order of the clauses. Look at the sentence again. They don't buy junk food. Why? Because they like healthy food. Change the order and use so. They like healthy food, comma, so they don't buy junk food. So the answer is C. The same meaning. Now choose the best subordinating conjunction. We have, look at this sentence. Jamal hated school. He didn't like school. He hated school. He always got good grades. Notice, hate, doesn't like, and good. Similar ideas? No. They are different ideas. Different ideas. Which means but. Opposite ideas. Which one of these words mean something like but? Is it until? Until has to do with time. Because reason result. Although means but. Although مع أن بالرغم من. Although he always got high grades. Okay. Another sentence. Choose the best subordinating conjunction. Layla cleaned her room. Her mother got home from work. Before. It's time here. We're talking about time. I want you to study these sentences. And we have another question. Which of these sentences is simple? And which is compound? And which is complex? Study them carefully. Sentence which has with because. What do you call it? And the third sentence, we have so. What do you call it? Now the first one is what? Simple sentence. The second is a complex, and the third is a compound sentence. Another example. We have 3 sentences here. Which one of them is simple? Which one is compound? Which one is complex? The first one is what? It's a complex sentence because we have subordinator after complex. And the second one is simple. The third one is compound. Thank you very much for being with me today. And I hope you have learned a lot about complex sentences. I will see you next time, inshallah.